All right. Well, welcome back to the Stories of IUS. Today I have with me Diara Brooks. And Diara, I would love to hear about, just introduce yourself however you would like to. Tell us a little bit about what you're studying, your path to IUS.
Awesome. My name is Dear Brooks, and I am from Louisville. I came to IUS in 2020, so I'm like a COVID baby or whatever you want to call it. My freshman year, I started off online, and then my sophomore year now, I'm currently living on campus as a resident assistant, and I'm currently studying human resources with business.
Nice. And did you say you came to Louisville in 2020?
What'd you say?
Did you say that you came to this area in 2020?
Yes, I'm from Louisville originally.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what I really love to do is have these sessions, these conversations, give people an opportunity to just sort of take the conversation wherever it will. But I am curious about, outside of all the time, I'm sure it takes up a ton of time, your role as a student.
Mhm.
What are some other things that you're interested in, that you engage in?
That's a good question. As you said, being a student does take up a lot of my time. So when I do have free time, I'm very a family oriented person. So I love being around my family. I love being around my friends. All my friends, they do go to like different universities all across the country. So whenever I do have time, I spend time with them. Whenever they come home, if we're on the same schedule. And if I'm not at school or work, then I kind of just catch up on things I like to do. Like I binge watch TV. I'm just like a regular kind of person. I love watching TV. I listen to music. I'm a very big music person. I have like a wide range of music that I listen to. My grandpa, we grew up listening to country music because he absolutely hates rap and hip hop. So we just listen. I guess he like opened me up to like a whole different like music when I was younger.
I love that. I was just thinking something similar about my grandparents the other day. I was listening to the Mamas and the Papas and thinking about how my grandma had introduced me to them.
Mm.
And anyways, you just reminded me of that when you're
You're fine.
talking about your grandpa and his love of country music.
Yes, he loves some good country music.
I love that.
Mm.
So I know that, yeah, speaking of like your friends and stuff that you like to connect with who are sort of at various other colleges around the country.
Mm.
One of the things that we had briefly mentioned before we hit record was what it has been like as a student.
Mhm.
Um, in general, I think it's hard enough, but especially to be navigating being a student amidst a pandemic that is now seemingly transitioning into like an endemic.
Mhm.
So I'm just curious about like what your thoughts are on connectedness and a sense of belonging. Like, what has it been like?
Okay, like I said, my freshman year, I didn't live on campus, so like I felt like I was very lonely. I didn't really know anybody, and then if I did know someone, it's because I had classes on campus, so I would just know them. Or I involved myself in the multicultural club, and I knew a few people from there. And I guess we would like reach out outside of that and become friends. But I would say my freshman year was kind of very lonesome. Plus, I lived at home, so I didn't really know anybody. So I was only friends with the people I knew from high school because I didn't know anybody yet from college. But I think this year was a big turnaround. Since everyone's coming back to campus, I think there's a better sense of community on campus now, especially for me. And as a resident assistant, I kind of try to create that for other people. One reason why we started BSU is because we actually really wanted students of color to get connected because as this is a predominantly white university, we sense that there's a lack of community between people of color on campus.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, BSU, the Black Student Union, you're the secretary. And it sounds like you had like a pretty seminal role in putting this together.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that, like some of the stuff that BSU is up to, just anything you'd like to share.
Awesome. So when I started my freshman year, they had a multicultural club rather than a Black Student Union. So my sophomore year, me and this girl named Erica Henry, we decided that we wanted to actually create a Black Student Union. So we were on the scavenger hunt to find like an academic advisor. Our academic advisor is Deandra Williams. She's an advising for education. She's really sweet. And pretty much we just like kind of like scrambled up all the things you need. It's a lot to actually make a club, more than I even thought of, because we did have a Black Student Union back in like 2016, but all the members graduated, so it kind of just like fell off. So we kind of like wanted to reestablish that. And I think ever since we've done that, it's been a really good opportunity for people to connect with on campus. And it's not only for people of color, of course. We do welcome everybody. We want to, just get connected and meet one another. We do hold events. We hold monthly events, actually. We just had a carnival back in February. And we just had like games and food, and it was just really cool. We also did a week celebration of Black History Month. We pretty much the month of February, we chose one day at every week of the month, and we just did different events. So we're just trying to get a presence on campus and get people to know us.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I think that part of what I love about, inviting people here is that they can really advocate for the things that they're involved in and the organizations that they're with. And so, yeah, I hope that this inspires people listening to look into the BSU, reach out, even possibly if they are interested in joining. Yeah.
I highly encourage that. There's other, or even if you don't want to become part of BSU, even if you want to create a different group, I know they have like a Muslim group, they have an Asian pop culture group. Any minority that is willing to create a group on campus just to get a presence and a feel, I think it's awesome. And we can collaborate with you guys even if you want to. We love collaborating with people.
That's awesome. Because I think sometimes that's half the battle when you are wanting to start something, whatever it is, whether it's like creating an organization to foster like diversity and belongingness and connection, or any project, anything that it is. Sometimes it can be just knowing where to start.
Right.
Can be so hard for people. Yeah. So that's amazing. So if anybody listening has any ideas, starting their own club or anything like that, reach out.
Please do.
Great. So let's see here. I am curious. It's kind of hard to, this is still like a very IUS sort of student related question, but you said that you are interested in and focusing on human resources.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on what you want to do with that. But I also don't want to say like, what do you want to be? I hate that question.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that question. Like, what do you want to be? Like, what do you want to do? Because I think that this is sort of like a windy way to ask you a question, but sometimes I think that we focus so much on asking students to pinpoint and like pin themselves down to something. Mm-hmm. And like, the thing is, that's not really how it works for anybody. Like, the path to where we all are today is that, like, it's a path. Mm-hmm. And it's influenced by the things that we've done before, the people that we've met along the way. And so I always have been trying to find like a better way to ask like that question. So I'm just going to say, like, what inspires you in regards to human resources, and what do you sort of envision for what's next?
I like the way you break that, because sometimes I feel like that question does pressure people to be like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and so it kind of like makes people anxious. But I like the way you worded that. But I decided to go into human resources because I currently work in a factory in Louisville. I work in GE Appliances, and not to badmouth them, but human resources there is kind of like a discipline thing, and I want to dive into the other aspect of that. I feel like human resources isn't only strictly for discipline; it's there to help your staff, just be a resource for them. Me and my family work the working class, so we do go to work. Um, so I want to be there for people just pretty much to feel comfortable and safe in their environment. As an African American female, I feel like I want to create other safe working environments for everyone because I know sometimes even outside the factory environment, work can be a little tricky, especially if you don't feel safe in your work environment, so you're not going to be as productive. And yeah.
Yes. I think that is very inspiring to hear, first of all. So thank you for that. And I think that you touched on something I think that's so important and that probably a lot of people have experienced, and that's if you don't feel supported.
Yeah.
If you don't feel supported at your place of employment, you're probably not going to stay there.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And support can look like, support can manifest in so many different ways, but definitely, like you said, one of them could be human resources
Mm-hmm.
and an HR department. And I could definitely see how having an HR department that is, a little more less punitive
Mm-hmm.
oriented could definitely help foster like a sense of community.
Yes.
And support.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I sometimes I like sort of getting back to that notion of this question sometimes giving students anxiety. I think something that we don't talk about enough is that question still gives like people like me anxiety. Like, I'm not a student anymore. And even I do not know necessarily what the future holds. Like, what am I going to be in 6 or 7 years? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I really hope that we start focusing on is just like and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, like the focusing on less about what it is that you want to do, because that's rooted in a very sort of like capitalist, like productivity mindset.
Very.
Yeah. And just instead, like what inspires you, like in this moment right now, and realize that could change and probably will change in 5 or 6 or 7 years. And that all of these things are going to be influenced by the people you meet along the way, the opportunities that are or aren't maybe presented.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that's a very big, like, sort of statement. It's not really a question. I'm just curious, like, what any thoughts you have on what we're sort of talking about already.
I feel like essentially, not even like college students, just like everyone's like trained and conditioned to think like, oh, well, you have to do one thing and you're gonna do one thing your whole life. And I feel like that was very like instilled within me, like even in middle school, like, oh, you're gonna go to high school, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna go to college and do this. So it's like it's hard to break that. And as you said, people do change, so people's interests change along the way, as well as when they meet people along the way. So it's kind of different. And me personally, I don't. Sometimes I like to take risks, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes change kind of scares me. So I feel like that's a big thing with everybody. So I feel like once people kind of like break that like boundary and kind of explore out and understand that it's okay to not just do one thing in your whole life. You can do as much as you please. People can be more comfortable with that idea.
Yeah, I really like the way that you put that. Like doing something as much as you please, as much as is comfortable to you. Mm-hmm. And what I think sometimes we lose sight of or focus less on about like the college experience is that it's, you know, all it's doing is creating like opportunities. That's one of the biggest advantages that I see and that I like to maybe promote, is that it's creating opportunities for you, like for the future, right? Like through the skills and the degree, through the people that you meet. But it's so fascinating because I feel like there's like lots of people joke about like this sort of thing all the time, I think, but like you ask people what their degrees are in compared to like what it is they're doing like for work like that day. And sometimes it can seem, I think the joke is sort of like, oh, well, like, how did you end up there or whatever? But it's like, you're missing the point.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, I totally get it. Essentially, I don't know how to word this. See, I feel like college is just a big opportunity for you to learn how to network and communicate. And I feel like as long as you know how to do that, you can do anything. I know a lot of people in my job currently, like engineers at my job and safety managers, they like major in like math. Like, what are you doing here? Like, this isn't for you. So I feel like as long as you know how to network and communicate and articulate, you're fine. You can end up anywhere you want to.
right. Yeah, the ability to network and communicate, the fact that you're going to build those skills while you're here, the fact that like all of the things, no matter seemingly how small, that like the skills that you get through your classes, not just the knowledge
Right.
about like the world around us, but like the skills and the critical thinking and so forth, like all of those things are going to inform. But I think what gets people sometimes is that they don't see the payoff immediately.
Right.
And it's just like, I just tell people, it's like, you're gonna be sitting somewhere 5, 6, 7 years from now, and you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, oh, I can actually trace how like this one class and this one meeting with this person like got me there and then got me there, and now it's got me here today.
I can say I'm one of those people. I'm actually really impatient. If if I don't see like immediate change, or like I'm like, oh, I get doomed or gloomed even. Like I'm like, well, what did I do this for? So I kind of see where that comes from. Maybe it comes with you'll grow with age, but I don't know. I do see that.
I think that there's, I think we're all, like that to a certain extent. Because I think everybody likes instant reward.
Yeah.
Of course. And the society that we're in too is like sort of like runs on instant gratification,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think I think I can see how it is hard. Like it's easy for me to sort of say these things as somebody who's not a student right now, but it's yeah, like sometimes I'll just sort of hear, like walking through the library or walking through like the information literacy classes, and like I'll hear students talking about like they're so anxious about having to figure out and pinpoint what it is they want to do for the rest of their lives. And I'm just like, where did we get off track with that? And why do people feel like they have to stick themselves down like into like one thing and stay there?
I don't know. Like I said, I feel like it's still, even to this day, it's like being instilled in people like, oh, know what you want to do after college, like immediately. There's no like downtime. There's no like they make it seem like there's no time for that. So it's like people get anxious as time like comes, like it's time to graduate. Like, what am I gonna do? Like I don't have anything. I don't know. It is kind of scary though, because I feel like that's how the world operates. So if you don't have your things together, you kind of seem like you're lost.
No, that is you put it so well. It really is like a balancing act between you know, the fact that we all live in this practical like world where, you know, you do have to make decisions and you do have to have your things together. And yeah, I guess I'm just sort of always floating in that like middle land between like practicality and just philosophy. I don't even know what you'd call it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I love to end these interviews with kind of a silly question, but I ask everybody, what is your favorite candy?
Ooh, it's a good question. Can I give like 2 answers? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so I hate chocolate, but Reese's are like the best thing anybody could have invented in life. I don't know, best candy. Also, Truly's sour gummy worms, delicious. Only the red and blue ones though. Those like the top pick. I pick those out of the bag first.
Nice. That's, you know what? I kind of identify with that because I also love Reese's.
I love Reese's.
But if somebody hands me like, if somebody's like, do you want a Hershey's chocolate bar? I'm like, yeah,
No.
That's amazing. It's got to be like the peanut butter or something.
Yes. Yes. And I don't know, maybe like I don't like Twix either. Snickers, none of that. It's gross. A good Reese's does me well.
That's awesome. I love asking people that question because they're like, oh, what is she gonna say? What is she gonna ask? That's great. Well, Dara, thank you so much for being here and chatting with me today. And again, if you know anybody listening, if you are interested in BSU and or even starting your own organization, please reach out. And yeah, just thanks again for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is great.